Thank you all for coming. Like Elizabeth said, we both are in Austin, and we sort of like cross paths, but it's been really fun to like hang out with you this week and get to know you at the beautiful Hotel Lucine. It's been a dream. So I am from Austin. My work is based in social media. I'm interested in ideas about narcissism and our narcissistic narrative and how social media sort of gives us permission to talk about ourselves and think about ourselves constantly. So I use this sewing as kind of a way to make visible the time that we're thinking and talking about ourselves, maybe the amount of time we spend scrolling or looking on our social media. The images from the patches come from people's Instagram pictures, and I take them and manipulate them in some ways. And then I have a company that makes them for me, because I tried to sew these myself one time and it was really, really bad. But I do actually do the sewing of the text as a way. The text comes from magazines, which is like the original aspirational images and ideas that we, before social media came along, that's how we knew what to want and what to look like and where to go and who to be. So I'm really interested in sort of like the curating that happens still in magazines, where the ideas are vetted, they're edited, they're distributed. There's something about that process that these things that seem sort of like absurd, someone spent a lot of time crafting this language and then putting it out in the world. So I thought about this show since we're coming to Galveston during spring break, thinking about travel. These are certificates of achievement, kind of like tongue-in-cheek. Obviously, humor is very important in my work. But this sort of like online bragging that we do about travel on Instagram, and we either roll our eyes or we find ways to participate. These certificates of achievement kind of like speak to that, thinking like mindfully about how social media has changed the way that we think and talk about where we go and why we go there. Let's see, what else? A lot of my work, I've been really interested in letter jackets, because it's a way that we traditionally have worn our accomplishments literally on our sleeves. And so taking these things out of a social media feed and putting them on our bodies through these patches, I'm interested in kind of the absurdity that happens. Like when you make it physical, it's not as disposable as online. When you make it physical, there's something that kind of makes it like a little funnier that I'm really interested in. The slideshow in there is a play on like the grandparent slideshows or aunt and uncle slideshows that you would like dread going to sit through. And you had to look at their like bad vacation photos. And I'm kind of drawing parallels to the way that we now like willingly sit on our phones and scroll through people's vacation photos. And not even people that we love or care for. It's just like strangers who are doing something and we just didn't want to have to like cook dinner, or, you know, just ways we put off our real life and then engage with these like very random travel pictures. So all the pictures in the slideshow are about visits to pyramids. And so I've sort of categorized them. A lot of my work I've titled, How Can We Get Noticed If We're All Doing the Same Things? And thinking about like these tropes that we see on social media, like, and then this really plays out in the slideshow where you have everyone who's taking a picture from behind. For whatever reason, you want your butt in the pyramid picture. Or there's a lot of pictures of people kissing or writing something, or, I don't know, making peace signs. That was like a big one. So just kind of playing this idea of like, it used to be a task that we dreaded or we hated, and now we're doing it on purpose and exponentially longer periods of time. I usually find the quotes, like when I'm like, I like to read a lot of magazines. And so every now and then there's something that jumps out at me and I write it down. And so I have just like these notebooks of all these collected quotes. And so when I started thinking about this show, I sat down with a travel magazine and started reading just tons and tons of quotes, making lists, and then pulling out the ones I liked. And then also, same is true kind of on Instagram, like doing the same kinds of things, just sitting down, and I have a whole folder on my phone of all the pictures that speak to me in some kind of way. And so when it comes time to make something, I begin to pair them, but I don't want them to be too literal. I don't want it to be like, here's a picture of a person doing exactly what the quote, but I try to find some way that they relate to each other, or add some kind of layer of complexity or nuance. And then I'm really interested in using these same patches to pair them with different quotes later on, in the way that we kind of like meme culture or one-liners or punchlines, the way that these things can be used and over again for all different kinds of messages. So when Visit Galveston, when we decided that they wanted to move forward with this collaboration, we started talking about what the patches might look like, and they sort of had an idea of things that they feel like is a quintessential visit to the island. Like if you're here, you should do these things, or these are the experiences we want people to have when they come here. And so I got on Instagram and started looking up these kinds of things. And so these patches are based on some of the images that we found based on like the sites and experiences. Yeah, so there's like someone taking off for a cruise. There's someone at the tall ship, Alyssa, isn't that how you say it? There is someone visiting the Juneteenth statue. Yes, fishing. Um, on the Strand. Yeah. Incorporated in this. Yes, yeah, I think all of them except for one, but.